what is compassion? Wanting the person to be free from suffering. So you would actually put some effort into trying to make the person happy so he can stop shooting arrows. Lama Zopa just sent, he sends messages like this. He says, parties are great, so if you want to make the party Dharma practice, invite your enemies. You know, like there's young people, they like to party. Then we always think, well, it's not really Dharma practice. You go to a party, you have fun. So I said, if you want to make your party Dharma practice, then invite, he didn't say your enemies, he said, invite your enemy. At least one, you know, 20 friends, but also the enemy. And let him have a good time in your party. Prepare the food for him. That would be the Buddhist approach. I don't know if it's the right approach, but that would be the Buddhist approach. Compassion is, how can I help him not to suffer? You see, if that person who shoots the arrow would be your child, what would you do? Try to make him happy. Try to make him feel appreciated and loved and respected, a person. I see you. I see that you suffer. What can I do for you? I see that out of your suffering you shot that arrow. Because you see, we think the arrow comes because people want to harm us. The arrow comes from suffering. And you can react with force. You can take the bow away from your son. But then you need to replace it with something. Something that is more valuable than a bow and arrow. So this is what one tries to do in Mahayana Buddhism, to see all beings have been our mothers, because of since beginningless times. And then when you got that idea, you change it around and you see all beings as your children. You get the idea? Like, whenever you have a problem with somebody, think, how would I react to that difficult situation if that person would be my child? Now, of course, if the person is your boss and is 60, 70, and you're 20, it may be difficult. But you could still think like that. How would I react if that person would be my child? Or my father. If you have a good relationship with your father. If you don't have, then that doesn't work. Or my mom. Or my brother, sister, uncle. Do you remember when I said about compassion? If we understand that we are all one... Oh no, I didn't say it in that course yet, I think. I didn't mention it yet. There's one German singer, his name is Gerd Grönemeyer. I told you about the lady who was full of fear. This Gerd Grönemeyer is very critical. He came from a very poor background. He is harsh, the way he says things, but it's harsh compassion. And there's a lot of wisdom, his songs. So he has help projects. So he says, compassion, we don't have to develop compassion. We only have to understand that we are one family. If you are a well-functioning family, you have money, your brother doesn't have money, you give him money. Because why? Because it's family. You go and help because it's family. That would be a well-functioning family. And we see families that work really well like that. And they thrive. And they become very successful. Because nobody feels exploited and taken advantage of. Everybody gives whatever they can give. Family businesses, they work really well. And kibbutzes worked on that principle at the beginning. Until people started to feel, oh, this one is lazy and I work so much. Yeah. And then it fell apart. A family doesn't work if the one who can give doesn't give and says, oh, it's not fair, I'm always the one giving. You see, if your mother would feel like this, you wouldn't have a problem with too much weight now. She would have stopped feeding you. Or your dad would say, why should I go out and earn money for these kids? They're never happy anyway. I pay for their education, I pay for their clothes, I pay for their toys, I pay for their holidays, and they hate me. They disrespect me. Why do they not stop going out to work and feeding you? Why? What do you think? Huh?
Commitment. They took it this long.
Only commitment. Who said that? Who said commitment? Where did it come from? Yeah. Yeah?
You took it on yourself. This is your responsibility.
Yeah, but not everybody. No, anyway, that's one commitment. Okay. You can't exchange them. You're stuck with those kids. It's like, you know, you cannot say, oh, sorry, I don't like them. Like a friend of mine, they bought a young dog and he was really like, he was so wild. They went to give him back. And they said, look, can you please take him back? We can't deal with him. You can't do that with your children. Commitment. No, but something also very...
Compassion.
Love. Natural, unconditioned love. Why? Because they're my children. So we see with the children, we have it. This unconditioned love that goes into wisdom when the kid suffers and is aggressive. Doesn't also go into aggressiveness. So we know we have it. So all we need to do is to expand it to us. That's all we need to do. We don't need to develop that compassion. I'm not sure, I don't have children, but I see parents and I can assume how that feels. This totally being concerned about the happiness of the child. Yeah. Sometimes they don't want your wisdom. Then leave them alone, let them make mistakes, but be there to catch them. And you know, if you're Buddhist parents, your kids might not want your values the same way as you didn't want the values of your parents. The same way your parents thought my values are so great. And my children don't want to have them. So let them be. It's okay. Maybe if you remain open, maybe at one point they will want them. Maybe not. Let them be. It's okay. I have Buddhist friends like their parents, and the daughter, she was very talented in painting, but she didn't want to study, so she couldn't go to art school because she only wanted to have fun in painting. She got into drugs. She got into really bad surroundings, and the parents were always there for her, but they knew they at the moment, because everything they said, she rejected. She tried to commit suicide. Can you imagine for Buddhist parents what that means? You have all the good intentions, you have all the tools that you could give to your children, they totally refuse it. But because they were always there for her, is it too hot? Do we need to?
It's really terrible.
It's really terrible. Okay, please turn on the air conditioner.
It's not Delhi.
Which one?
Which one? All of them. All of them. Then we get cold, and then we turn them off again.
No. Because they mentioned that said from Siberia, there is something like being so cold, but you can always put something on you.
Yeah, if you have.
Yeah, that can be donated.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but so we just turn them off again. If somebody feels really shivery and doesn't have anything to put on, for me it's fine. Everything is fine. It's like hot is hot, cold is cold. I don't really mind. So, huh? It's noise, yeah, it's another thing, it's noise. So, samsara, whatever we do, we're never happy. There's always shortcomings. There you got the thing of samsara. We try and try and try. There's always yes, but. Okay, but anyway, just to come back to this daughter, she, all of a sudden, because the parents never rejected her, but they also gave her the freedom to make her own mistakes. And she knew somehow that the parents would be there for her to catch her. Other parents sort of said, "Are you stupid? Put borders on her." Da da da. They say it won't work. It will not work. All of a sudden, the daughter asked the mother, "Can you come to Nepal with me?" And the mother like, "Wow, yes, of course." So she took 2 months off work. The daughter was then maybe 17. and they went to Nepal, and she wanted to show her all the gompas and the temples and all this. So she prostrated. The daughter says, "You have to do that." So the mother stopped prostrating, stopped going to temples, and she was just there for her daughter. Now again, you could think, no, she should have shown her borders. A little bit later, that daughter goes and volunteers in Vashyogini in France, in a Buddhist center. She calls, she is angry. These stupid Buddhists, I mean, they're so selfish and nobody's taking care of me, nobody listens to me, and they're just, I thought they were compassionate, but she stayed. Because I was there when it happened, and it was from Belgium, and the father said, "If you want to come home, I come get you." She says, "No, it's okay, I stay, blah, 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 blah." She discovered that she can cook, and that she likes cooking. And she started to cook for the lamas. And she started a study to be a nurse. She became a nurse, and she's looking after drug addicts. Never give up hope. Drug addicts. That was in Belgium. Now she moved to France, to the center. She's still rejecting Buddhism. She doesn't come to any teachings.
What about the art?
She's still trained, but not as her main occupation. Yeah. Wow, she draws like wild pictures with cut heads and blood and dark things everywhere, and rebellion going on. Yeah. Awful to look at. You could see the suffering mind. You could see the suffering mind. But many of the pictures had colors. Like it was not just all black. It was very loud. Like the pictures were very loud and very things. Huh? Screaming. Yeah. Now she's very happy. Well, she's still sometimes a bit rebellious, but she doesn't come to the teachings, and it's fine. It's okay. But she's much happier, much more balanced. Finally, her humor is coming out also. She has great humor, and so it's like everything can change. But I'm not saying that would work for every child. I'm not saying that would work for every child. It could go that child always goes totally down the drain. Then as parents, I think what you have to do is not to feel totally responsible. That you try your best, and then that's all you can do.
But it's definitely a good parenting, sorry.
Huh?
No. No, I have a question about the balance between the parent, and the attachment. Because on the other hand,
Oh, I think it's good to be attached to your own children. Don't be, if you want to be a fully blown bodhisattva and always be there for others, and you don't have children yet, don't have children. Don't have a family. It's not fair on them. This is why there's monks and nuns. They don't have family. They can give their whole time to their practice and to others when they need it. Yeah. Somebody Dami also just told me the story about this Rabbi, what was his name, Kitty? You remember this very famous rabbi who, there was a documentary on TV she saw. And he was only interested in study. But the rabbi is like, he had to have a family. So,
Rabbi Akiva?
so I don't know. So a daughter said, he said my name twice my whole life. He didn't notice us. He was only in his books. Because that's what he liked to do. And he was very wise. People came and asked him questions. He would always give the right answer and all this. So there was a documentary on TV. So I don't know which rabbi it was. It doesn't really matter. But you see the thing. If you have such a mind that only wants to study and wants to be there for others, you should have a family. It's not fair on them. So if you are a lay Dharma practitioner and you want to come to retreat, sometimes it's good to stay home for the sake of your family, to spend time with them. Otherwise, not fair. Okay. Is it really 10 o'clock? I forgot my clock. Yeah? Okay. Okay. Now, let's come back to forgiveness. So is that kind of more or less okay? We have a lot of time actually before it gets dark, so if you have more questions or whatever, if you want to discuss these things. But you know the balance between attachment and anger, between attachment and parent, love parents. You're asking somebody who doesn't have children. Me. How do I know? I don't know. When I look after children,
What was the question?
what is the balance between attachment to your children and educating them on love? I don't know.
I think maybe when you're not
Anyway, you can, these people who have children, they can discuss it with each other. You know, because what can I do? I don't know. Inval might be a good person to ask these questions. Yeah? But you need to have attachment for your own children. You need to have. It's good. But they're not yours. They don't belong to you. You know, like people ask me, but you don't have children? What will you do when you're old? Who will look after you? And I ask, is that why you're having children? Well, you might get disappointed when you're old, you know. At least I won't be disappointed because I don't have any. Do you see what I mean? Yeah?
I still have a question not regarding attachment and possible trust.
Yeah, why not?
Regarding the negative emotions, and anger is one of them, and always I have a question mark regarding it because there is also sacred rage that creates and motivates you to act in the world. So this also the balance between negative and what is positive in anger that creates like a...
Okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about this actually, it's a good thing. What is positive in anger, it shows you that, thank you very much for reminding me, because that's really what I wanted to mention. What is positive in anger is that it shows you that something is wrong. Now you can get stuck in that anger, and then anger starts to exaggerate. Anger starts to only see the negative sides, and anger is too strong energy. So you can actually, you know, your heart doesn't want to hurt others, but your angry mind will. Because when somebody's angry at you, and this is what we'll do in the meditation, this is what we'll do in the meditation, you will see it. Okay? Anybody has a spare blanket for Giddy? Or is it okay like this? So when somebody's angry at you, you see that sting. Okay? So, but we are angry, so how can we use it? So you try to make a step back, and again, this is where your awareness, your mindfulness meditation comes in. So you notice at the beginning, I'm angry, before it's fully blown. When it's fully blown, it's too late. Yeah. Then go and distract yourself with something. You know, put your head in ice cold water or something like that. That will calm you down. Or go and look in the mirror, because as I said, you look so ridiculous. Yeah, it will make you laugh and smile. The moment somebody can make you laugh, when you're angry, your anger is gone. This is why when you want to make angry people laugh, and depressed people laugh, they put so much effort in not laughing. Because the moment you laugh, your anger is gone. Huh? Yeah, they try very hard. I don't want to laugh. Yeah, it's like, we're still the same. We're still like children, only we can hide it, whereas they cannot. You see, this little child is still in here.
No, the method with the mirror is great.
Yeah.
You use it
Now you don't even need a mirror anymore, you put the selfie mode. You know? This is it. No, and you make a picture and then you look at it. Wow, wouldn't that be fantastic? But again, you're not allowed to do that if you have low self-esteem.
Right.
You can only do that if you believe in your potential to be a good person. Otherwise it's harmful. Otherwise it puts you more down. I'm so angry, I'm so bad, you know. You need to be able to laugh about it. Otherwise, please don't do it. Yeah. So again, it's a bit dangerous to give you these drastic methods in a big group like this. This is why I prefer small groups. I prefer groups of 15, 20 people. I see what is going on in the people. We can discuss it on a personal level. for me it's like much more safe. So again, if I hurt somebody's feelings, if you would like to come and see me and tell me about this, please come, because I'm not here to hurt your feelings. Yeah, but it could be because I give you a situation that applies to you, and I seem to be talking about this in a disrespectful way, but I'm not talking to you. You're just taking it personally. That's all. Yeah. So this is what I mean. I don't want to be respectless. And I'm happy for everybody is here, of course, but it's like... Anyway, so with the anger, then try to make a step out of the anger and look what needs did not get fulfilled. Because then already the anger dies down a little bit. Because why? Because the mental factor of self-concern comes up, which starts to counterbalance. You see, the mental factor of awareness takes care of the mental factor of anger, because you're out of your anger and you're in your awareness. So then it starts to die down. But it's good to look, hey, what happened? Yeah? And so this is not Buddhism. This is from nonviolent communication by somebody called Rosenberg. Rosenberg, okay. Rosenbaum, or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So that comes from there. Now, when we start to see that our needs are not getting fulfilled, now this is what I am adding. Please start to see whether your demands for your needs being fulfilled are reasonable. Yeah. Because we have so many needs. Everybody should love me, everybody should respect me, everybody should do this, everybody should do as I please. People should be able to read my thoughts so they fulfill my needs. Because we don't communicate these needs. How many times do you go to somebody and say, look, I'm very, very sensitive. So please be careful how you say things to me when you have to tell me that I made a mistake. How many times do you communicate that? Nobody ever told me. Then I see in the reaction of people to what I say that they are very sensitive, and I should not have said what I just said, the way I said it. I thought they were a bit like me, you know, you can tell me anything, that's it, it's okay. I can deal with it, but not everybody can, if you're very sensitive, wear a badge. Be aware, sensitive person. Instead of feeling hurt when people don't know it and they make a joke, for example. Okay, so that's one thing. So try to see if you, I saw you in a minute, try to see if your needs are being fulfilled. And then we see, no, are they reasonable? Yeah, kind of, I like to be respected, but I also disrespect people sometimes. I'm also not fulfilling other people's needs. Hey man, other people have the same needs as I have. And then you start to try to fulfill other people's needs of respect and being accepted the way they are. And that is magic. And that is not, that is what I added as from Buddhism. Then the situation shifts. When you willingly, not because you're forced, and not because, and be careful now, okay, please, because once you start to fulfill other people's needs, what happens? Very often, it might take a while, but it will happen for sure. What will happen? They will fulfill your needs. So if you do this because of that, then you're manipulating them. And that's very often what we do when we do a so-called compassionate act. We do something for the sake of the other, hoping, unconsciously, that they will be nice to us. Then it doesn't come back, and then we get angry. Then you look at your anger and you go, okay, what was my motivation for that compassionate act? Oh, I wanted them to stop harming me, or I wanted them to be kind to me. Oh, maybe that's not such a pure motivation. Do you see what I mean? Ayala.
About 20 years ago, when I was
Can you speak loud?
Louder
Yeah.
than this?
Yeah, louder than this. Try to be stronger than that thing up there.
About 20 years ago, when I was a young father, I was challenging something similar to Carolina with anger.
Yeah.
And I asked a friend who was an ex-monk
Uh-huh.
about, you have a child, you want to explain him not to cross the road, so he
Yeah.
can eat. And you become angry about him.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually you don't want to harm him, you want
Yeah.
to protect him. And then he said to me to distinguish between two kinds of anger. One is
Yeah.
a full anger that
Yeah.
I really wish to harm the person.
Yeah.
And the other one, he called in a term that I didn't use before, he called it ruffle.
Yeah.
That
This
you
is
are
the deities.
showing outside
Yeah.
that you are angry, but
Yeah.
inside you are
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
You're just showing
Exactly.
that the kids will understand
Yeah.
that this is a red line that
Yeah.
we shouldn't cross.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's helped me a lot because there's all the time the challenging, and as more as they grow up, it's become more subtle, and you need to be more wise how to use it. But sometimes you
Yeah.
need to give the limits because you know
Yeah,
something that the child doesn't know anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but sometimes wanting to give limits also. With some children, there's not so many on this planet, but it really doesn't work. It really makes them get worse, more aggressive, more rebellious. It's karma also. Very strong relationship from past lives of conflict and being born in the same family like that. Now the problem is, so this is why if you want to, of course everybody likes to hear that, oh great, I can use my anger now. Now be careful, because if you are not training in mindfulness, you will not see the difference. Because every anger that you have feels that it is right to have it. There's a very, 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 it's very difficult to see the distinction between these two. And we reflect on it in the 11 o'clock meditation. Yeah. So thank you very much, Carolina, because that's really what I wanted to tell you about anger, and I would have forgotten because I have notes and now I never looked at them. It's terrible. About forgiveness. This Frederick Luskin, which is a psychologist who works with traumatized people, like people who have lost children through murder, for example, or who have been abused, raped, like these kind of things. So he wants to bring the people to a point that they can be healed enough to think, how can that, what has happened to me, benefit others? Not necessarily become full-blown therapists. Yeah, like that. So he says there is 9 steps in forgiving. So this is psychology, this is not Buddhism, but very often we find similar ways. So maybe you find something in there. If you want, I can, because I only have it like written out by hand, but I can, when I'm back in Tel Aviv, I can type it on my computer and I can send it to David or somebody, and then you can have it, that's okay. Or you can look up Frederick Luskin and his books, and you know, he's got plenty of books like René Brown and all these people. Luskin. Luskin. Okay, so the first step is the ability to feel the pain. And again, if you have trained in mindfulness, this will be fairly easy to let that pain come up. I already said it in one course when my dad died. Now again, he didn't hurt me or anything like that, but just to talk about pain, because the pain of being hurt or the pain of losing somebody, pain is pain. Yeah, it's only then what the mind makes out of it. When my dad died, I had a lot of pain in the heart, like, you know, very sharp pain, because I was very attached to him. So the mindfulness training from before helped me to just accept it, and just to allow it to arise, and then to go away, and to arise, and to go. After a month and a half, it was finished. I still remember him very, very often. I still think of him with loving mind, but not with yearning for him to come back, not with pain. Just with gratitude that I had such a good dad. We had terrible fights though, okay? But there was also love. We were both very stubborn, but we had totally opposite values and ideals. Wow. Because he was born poor, and he worked a lot, and he earned a fair amount of money, and he thought I was the same. But I was born when he already had the money. So we had all the toys we wanted all the time. We had a swimming pool, we had a house. I was always the first one with new skis and new ski boots. This is how my schoolmates remember me, because of my ski boots. They were all jealous of me. And for me it was like, I didn't even want it. So we had like the same stubborn mind, but different values. So this is why I fought, but we really loved each other. We had attachment for each other also, because we could see the similarities somewhere, I think, on a certain level. But it was sometimes painful because of the fights that we had. He didn't hurt me, but I know that I hurt him by saying that his values are no good and it's just money and it's just material and blah, blah, blah. It's thanks to his values that I could become a nun. I would never have earned the money alone to be able to sustain myself as a nun. And I was able to thank him for that before he died. That was very beautiful. You see, what I resented in him is that he was never home, he was out earning money. This is how kids are. Whatever you do is not right. He went out so he could buy us the toys. And I wanted a dad who is home for me. This is samsara. Not being happy with what you get. All the kids at school, they were all jealous of my brother and me because we had all these things. It's not so nice to be the rich kid in class, by the way. It's not so great. Really. And if you're not, then don't be jealous of them, because it's also not a cause for happiness. So the ability to feel the pain. So the more you know about mindfulness practices. So if you want to learn mindfulness, go to visit Tomana. This is great. They give you these fantastic tools. We do more philosophy. We give you the Tibetans, they assume that people meditate at home. That's why they talk so much. We do solitary retreats, like with these things that we learned, with these tools that we learned. So I'm not saying this is right and this is wrong, it's just different methods, that's all. Yeah? So, the second point, so like what it means is, know how you feel, being able to express it with words, and to be able to tell a trusted person. That's the first step. Not hiding it. You don't need to put it on Facebook. Okay, the first step, know how you feel. Feel the pain, fully.
This is the first one.
Yeah. But it has more, the first one has three things. Feel the pain fully, being able to express it, and then tell a trusted person. Out of these three things, the first one is the most important one. If anybody needs a blanket, just shout, and then we have some free blankets. So out of these three ones which go in the first point, the first one is the most important one. Because you might be able to deal with it yourself. But with being hurt comes always the aspect feeling ashamed about having been hurt. And then you don't want to tell anybody, and then you disconnect yourself from others. And connection is a human need, being connected to others. So then the fear comes that it will come out, and then you start to suppress, and you start to behave as if nothing has happened. That is very unhealthy. That is the other extreme. Yeah? But if you have somebody, tell yourself how you feel. Not so much what happened. The methods of mindfulness. How do I feel? What you learn when you go to Tomana courses. You start to identify these emotions. Yeah? By the way, don't get it. If you are Dharma friend fanatic, okay, and you go like, how dare she talk about Tomana? They're our opponents.
No.
Okay, good. It's good to do both. Or if your life is so full and you want to have a peaceful kind of calm mind and you just want to learn how to have a peaceful mind, Tovana is great. It's really fantastic. And if you want to do mind transformation, if you want to put these methods into practice, you need to go and do mindfulness retreats, not just one weekend, 10 days, 1 month, something like that. Because then you learn how to use these things. Otherwise you have it up here and it won't work. And this is why sometimes, and it's a shame, sorry I have to say it, sometimes in Mahayana centers, you see people, they have all these beautiful instructions. They act like 5-year-old children when they don't get what they want. And you go like, have they ever heard about these things? But they don't see it because there's no awareness. Yeah. By the way, today is Thich Nhat Hanh's 90th birthday. Happy birthday. Huh? I don't know. I just know that it's his birthday. Okay, second step. The commitment to yourself that you will do everything to feel better for yourself and not for others. Just for yourself. So here it's okay to be selfish. This is psychology, okay?
It's very important.
Very important. The commitment to yourself to feel better. Of course it's important. The first 2 scopes in Mahayana Buddhism are what? The first 2 levels of practice in Mahayana Buddhism are what? Learning to look after yourself before you go out and help others. So it's not just psychology, it's also Buddhism. Okay? So here's important. Make that commitment. I will do everything I can not to make it worse, not to go deeper, not to da-da-da, you know, like rehashing the story when I feel like taking up the... Take that image. I'm taking up the arrow and I keep stabbing myself instead of letting the arrow lie here. You can see the arrow, you can remember the story, but you don't have to relive the whole thing. Third step. That you don't need necessarily to meet that other person personally ever again in your life. That is not necessary for being able to forgive and let go.
It's also
And you don't need to make the action smaller than it was. Okay?
It's important also for people who died, to forgive people who died. You cannot connect them anymore.
Yeah, that's the easiest. Why? Why is it so easy to forgive people who have died?
Because they don't.
Why all of a sudden we start loving them when we've been hating them the whole life?
Because that's not going to.
They're not dangerous anymore.
I don't
There's
think
a very
that it's
beautiful. There's a very beautiful movie. I bought the DVD so I could watch it because I really wanted to watch it, and we have it in the center now. By Laurie Anderson. Anybody knows Laurie Anderson? My generation, of course. I drove my friends crazy listening to her like for hours and hours and hours. You know. So she made a very beautiful movie which is called The Heart of a Dog, and she documents the death of her dog and her mother.
Wow.
So don't wait until then. Don't wait trying to love them until they're dead. But then it's easy, because they're not dangerous anymore.
I don't know that about it.
It's okay, let's not discuss it.
Can you repeat it?
Okay, it's, you don't necessarily, you know, because there's this fear, like Carolina said, you don't want to make contact, okay? So don't think in order to be able to feel better you need to make contact with the person. It doesn't, there doesn't have to be necessarily a reconciliation with the other person or a condoning of the action. Find peace through understanding. Find peace through understanding. This is what we talked about yesterday. Views. Find a view, an opinion that suits you, that you can work with, why it happened. Buddhism would be my karma ripening, the other person has created karmic imprints to suffer. So instead of anger, compassion for others come up. You don't need to forgive. You see, there is not much talk about forgiving in Mahayana Buddhism because they don't need to forgive. It doesn't go there. It doesn't go that far. Because they understand karma. And they have compassion for the aggressor. Like, actually this, there is some other man in, did I tell you the story? Maybe, I don't know. In Ireland, who works with people from, from the violence they had in Ireland, where young people getting killed because of bombs and terrorism, and because of religion. We should stop religion, I think. We should abolish it. At the moment, it really creates more suffering than happiness. Yeah. Or at least the people who want to be religious, like, leave them alone and they leave others alone. Yeah. Instead of. So this is why I'm saying, all I'm asking you is that I'm religious. Of course, I'm a Buddhist nun, so please allow me to be a Buddhist nun. I let you be lay people. It's absolutely no problem for me. I don't want to make you Buddhists. Yeah. Anyway, Buddhism is a way of life. It's not a religion in a way. So, so there's this Irish guy who, his son was shot when he was delivering pizzas. Like, he was 17 years old and he was just about to start his studies. He wanted to earn some money. He went to deliver pizzas. The door opens, a drug addict shots him, dead. And this father, he's not a Buddhist, but his father spontaneously says, there's two victims here, my son and the one who shot him. When I tell these things, I start crying because it's so beautiful. And he started to take care of that person who had to go to prison. And out of that, then this whole thing about he learned how to take care of traumatized people, because of course the drug addict is a traumatized person, and out of that he started an organization. So, you see, one would almost say, I know it's very difficult to say, so please don't take it the wrong way. The beauty that came out of his dead son is amazing. Now, I'm not saying it's good that his son got shot, but you can see what transformation can produce. Otherwise, the son would have had a happy life, but no organization for traumatized people who come from understanding. So this is why I'm saying, goes into the third step. What it means is, you see, what we think we can only find peace when there's reconciliation with the other. Like the other has to say, I know what I did to you, I feel sorry, blah, blah, yeah? We think only that can make me feel better. Somebody's shaking their head. Don't wait for it. When you have harmed somebody, be prepared to do it. We'll talk about that this afternoon. But don't expect it. It's not necessary. And also you don't, in order to feel okay about what happened, you don't need to make the action smaller. You can say this is a huge negative act with a sober mind. And you could even add, and I'm not the only one to whom this happens. And this is terrible that it keeps continuing to happen. What can I do so that it doesn't happen anymore, for example? To never put big acts like this or other violent acts, do never put them down, because then they continue to happen. But separate the person from the action. Separate yourself from what happened and separate the person from the action. You're condemning the action, not the person. That's a big difference.
Like the child.
Huh?
Like with children.
Like with children. How many do you have?